What's up, people? What's up, people? How are we doing out there? Yeah, so a shit ton of money got stolen, from Binance of all places, right? The one exchange that everybody thought, hey, they haven't got hacked before. It's great. They got their own token. Oh, I love Binance. They're the best. But yeah, we'll just jump right into it. I'll give a little background before I kind of, play around with the hypotheticals. But here we have good old CZ talking about the thing. Should not go full screen. Here we go. Actually, does that work?
Okay, on the funding side, it does hurt very much, but so we are completely okay on the funding side. It does hurt very much, but we are able to
Oh, come
to
on.
cover that. So we do not need the funding help. We have been working with other exchanges to block deposits from those hacked addresses. There's the other topic of, do we want to issue a rollback on the Bitcoin network? Because right now the 7,000 BTC is far higher than, if we distribute that to miners, it will be far higher than the what they got paid for the last few blocks. To be honest, we can actually do this probably within the next few days. But there are concerns about, if we do a rollback on Bitcoin network at that scale, it may have some negative consequences.
Yeah, so he goes over some things right here. Essentially, he says he wants to roll back the chain and give that 7,000 BTC that was stolen and essentially give it to the miners. And so this is kind of like a weird solution that he came up with. I mean, this dude just lost like $40 million, right? And so he might have been like kind of off of his rocker. But he like doesn't even say that he's trying to give Binance the money back. He's going to give it back to the miners through basically reversing the transaction and giving those, essentially reversing the chain, the regular BTC chain. I have a little diagram for this. I'll show in a little bit. Reversing the chain and then keeping all the transactions besides that one that stole them, which is actually right here. This is the transaction that was stolen. These funds. It looks like there's some BitMEX addresses in there, but it was a bunch of different like 500 BTC amounts to different addresses. Actually, let me go back one more. This is the transaction. Yeah, 7,000 BTC. And so, yeah, I'll just pull up my little diagram that I made here quick. Does a SegWit vulnerability theory hold water? SegWit is convoluted, but I wouldn't call it like, I don't think you can like steal money. The only way you can kind of steal money through SegWit is if basically cross chain, if somebody sent, you can't even like really steal it. It's anyone can spend, and I think on BSV they might like revert. I don't know exactly, but SegWit isn't really like a huge vulnerability by any means. But anyways, so this is kind of a diagram I threw up real quick. Hey, what's up, Tal? Yeah, so essentially this would be like the chain right here that we're working on right now, and so this would be the block without any. Before the stolen BTC happened, before this transaction happened, it happens, and then like basically, I mean, obviously, the more time that goes through, the harder it is to reverse, right? And so like he was saying, let's see if we can go back to that and finish it up.
Destroying credibility for Bitcoin. So again, the team's still deciding that, and we're running through the numbers and checking everything. So I think throughout this instant, we will try to maintain very high transparency, and we will just we will solicit community help. So the reorg is an idea that came from the community. I actually did not know that we could do that, but there are serious consequences for doing that. So we will take that very cautiously.
Yeah, and so it's kind of funny how like the community came up to him. It's almost like somebody came up to him and it's like, hey, you know, you can just like reorg and get your money back, right? And like, I mean, I'm sure he's like still like shell shocked from losing all that money. He's like, oh yeah, it sounds like a great idea. When it kind of takes a lot to think through. Say the line, CZ, funds are safe. Yay. But yeah, so he basically got this. Let me find it real quick. Is in here somewhere. This is him saying they're not gonna. So he's basically. So he could revenge the hackers by moving the fees to the miners. Again, this is kind of like weird because he's almost like wants to revenge the hacker rather than like get his money back, but like give it to the miners. And so the miners would be incentivized to roll it back. But again, Binance wouldn't be getting this. But they have their own like Seifu fund, so everybody's funds are actually safe and nobody actually lost any money. That's one hell of a Seifu fund though for like $40 million. It would. He's saying the pros of the Reorg would deter future hacking attempts and exploit the possibility of how Bitcoin network would deal with situations like this. And again, this was like 0.5% of the BTC supply. Mt. Gox was like 20%. And so while the value amount I think is about the same in USD, like the amount of coins moved is significantly less. And then obviously the cons damage the credibility, and then you cause the split. And then cons 4, well, very expensive. It's a lesson. And then Vitalik just says, "Wait, what?" He was actually trying to reorg. And so yeah, essentially, what like say this is the. Let me get another box in here real quick. Here's my box. And so like say this is the current block right now. I mean, essentially, so I was reading, he would take all the transactions that are in these blocks, and then he would put them in the mempool. He would basically go back to this block before the BTC got stolen, and then all these transactions would be in the mempool, which who knows how big that would be, and it's BTC, so it would take longer to go. And because he didn't want to reverse any transactions, right, and like make as minimal disruption as possible. But again, the amount of miners to do this. But anyways, okay, so you have to revert here, and obviously, like, say this one already had 5 blocks, like, that's a lot of proof of work just for 5 blocks. I mean, it's BTC, right? And then so, I mean, if you're going by Nakamoto consensus, which we know is kind of bullshit from the BCH BSV hash war, he have to have a chain that had more proof of work for it to be seen valid. And again, this is kind of like, it's kind of like BCH's checkpointing, right? Like the checkpoint before the stolen BTC. I mean, like, you can go to a block and then just like build off that block, but the rest of the network is already moved on because like they don't give a shit, right? And so anyways, he would have to go back and then remine his new chain over here. And so he would need at least 51% to even attempt to start catching up. But say he had 51%, this 49% is still going to build on this old chain if he doesn't have them all. And that's going to take a long time just to catch up for those 4 blocks. I mean, like, if half the hash power leaves, it's going to take twice as long to find a block. So each block on each chain will be 20 minutes essentially. And then again, it's a race, and essentially to catch up, you'd basically have to be hitting like 60-70% of the hash power to even like start to catch up. And again, he would have to like redo all the transactions and then come through this, and the amount of miner coordination is kind of like insane. Like BCH and BSV's hash war was on a minority chain, right? And so people could like throw their like play hash around, if you want to call it that. And BTC, they would have the same consensus rules technically, but they would be on different blocks, or they would be on different chains because, I mean, it's a split. One chain has the stolen BTC and one does not. And so you would have 2 different chains that were essentially fighting for each other. And I think we all know how BTCers hate hard forks, right? And so something like this is like just so, like CZ's credibility is just like, dude, do you not like understand how like hash power works? Like, like proof of work is Bitcoin, and it was kind of funny. It was kind of funny, like proof of work versus proof of stake, right? How Vitalik was just like, wait, what? Like you think you could reorg? Like this guy like doesn't know, like he's just like a shitcoin dealer, right? And it's it's just funny how he I mean, again, I think so this is Jeremy was the guy that first came up with this Bitcoin Core guy. Let's see if we can find the first one. You can even sign batches of transactions with old UTXOs paying miners with different lock times to make it a permanent reward to unwind this hack. You can even sign batches of transactions with the old UTXOs paying miners with different lock times. So yeah, essentially they would take this transaction and just like give it to as like an additional block reward, I guess was kind of their theory. Again, this is like nothing that's ever been attempted before, so I'm not sure what he's trying. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in chats. I'm watching D-Lives and YouTube's chats right now. And no one should be surprised Bitcoin works like this. Alright, let's see. If Binance caught this earlier, they could have executed this fix as replaced by fee in the mempool. Like, yeah, if they caught it, earlier, right? But I mean, the hacking transaction would have had to have replaced by fee flagged on it, which is like, I don't think your exit transaction of BTC is gonna have a replaced by fee tag on it. So I don't know what he's talking about right there. Here you go. All you people freaking out about this, would you rather have checkpoints or something? And again, like checkpoints, it's like every block is a checkpoint. Like as far as I understand, like obviously it's not like an official checkpoint, but you can always go back to a block and start hashing on top of it onto a new chain if you really wanted to. And that's kind of what they were proposing here. And this Jammer guy's still going. In the future, I'd like to consider a standard way of dealing with a hack to be within 6 blocks, reorg the attack funds to a transaction, which pays out a long-term time like settle future miners. That way at least these hacks can secure the future of Bitcoin. And again, like, I mean, it's funny we're talking about BTC here, which has like, what, like 10 times the hash power as BCH? BTC back to 6K, is it? Nice. Oh yeah, it looks like the charts are going up right now. Hey. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of like, if this reorg would have happened, which obviously like there was a huge backlash against it, it would have like ruined the whole credibility of just kind of BTC. Like the whole point is to not reverse, to have immutability, and if you go ahead and do something like this, you kind of lose the whole point. I was gonna go to, I don't think I said Ari. Sorry, Paul. Like Ari, like, but anyways. So he's saying here's why rollback is plausible in a future case, and he's kind of like playing around with the incentives because, I mean, again, miners can do what they want, but it's a matter of like social consensus, or do they have the incentives to? Will it destroy the value of the coin? And again, like this hack was relatively small. Consider Bitfinex's previous hack of 117K, which was 30 days plus block rewards. If Bitfinex could create a smart contract to programmatically incentivize miners to reorg 3 days of blockchain, the simply economic incentives could work. So you need coordination. A reorg requires 50% more of hash power, and again, if it, like, depending on how far ahead, you need like even more to just catch up, because you'd have to, like, these 4 blocks would have to catch up 4 blocks worth, which is, again, like, if you have more than 50%, eventually you catch up. But having 2 different chains, you could, this kind of goes back to the hash war, BCH and BSV. You could send both. So say there were 2 chains. Say he reorged it, right? And then so you have the BTC chain and the BTC Binance chain, the BTC NB chain or something, whatever. Let's label that real quick. I'm just gonna throw some labels in here. All right, so this is BTC Oh man, I need like a. Don't mind my handwriting. I need like a freaking BTC BNB. This is the new chain. And so like you could broadcast your own transaction on the BTC network and have it go to both chains. This is kind of what like the no split people were saying around the BSV fork time, and kind of what was happening with BCH, because the consensus rules were so similar that the transactions were basically the same. But the only time you would run into a problem of replaying transactions across both chains is if the stolen BTC and you have the UTXOs started like tainting the other one. And this is why, like, I mean, just relate, say this is BCH and this is BSV from the fork, you can't like combine the two because they are different already. And so one would eventually have to win out. And so this is what you would call Nakamoto consensus, right? Whichever one has the most hash power. And yeah, it would. It'd be awesome to see something like this, but I think if this would have happened, if this fork would have actually happened, I guarantee we would just had two different forks of BTC. One would have probably died out, probably the BNB one, but there would have been a fork, right? It's not like 100% of the miners would have been like, yeah, okay, sorry, CZ, we're just gonna roll it back for you, and then we're just gonna start again. Like, I mean, first of all, like, a lot of people just run their miners and like don't switch it off BTC. Like, they're just kind of passive miners, and they're not like always watching the network, so they would have no idea that this even happened. And I don't know what percentage of miners that is, but it's enough to keep a chain going for a while. And then we'll go back to Aries' conversation over here. All right, so if the exchange is incentivized to attempt this, and all rational miners are incentivized to take the deal, why won't the reorg happen? Only one answer, I believe. We have to hope the miners act uneconomically in the short term due to altruism or non-mining incentives. Because again, if CZ actually like gave this 7K Bitcoin to the miners on this chain, like that's a good amount of chunk of change for the miners that find the blocks, right? Yeah, it would come down to miner incentives in the reorg payoff or devaluation of their ASICs or BTC. Because, I mean, something like this happened. I mean, BTC is the immutable ledger, right? And, I mean, if this happened, like, BTC price it would probably just tank. I mean, let's be real. And that's, I think, really the incentive that's just holding all the miners back from doing this. And, again, this is like a relatively small amount. 0.5% of the supply in Mt. Gox is 20%. So I think CZ saying all this was just like him in panic mode from just losing $40 million. But for any one small miner, they could sell their BTC at market, so more decentralization is actually worse in this regard since it makes miner BTC holdings more liquid. Sorry, let me... I guess I don't follow that. In a world where miners don't have to own their own ASICs and don't generally hold a bunch of BTC, there would be really clear economic incentives for the reorg to happen. Right, and so this is kind of like skin in the game right here. Like, they have their ASICs, and if they reorg, like, what's the point of even having ASICs? Here might be a prisoner's dilemma. Collectively, miners might be hurt by the reorg devaluing their hardware, but every individual miner is incentivized to reorg. Reorg is binary, no different from typical prisoners. If the exchange could think of a way to reward every miner that supports the reorg more than those who opposed it, that might be enough to cause a reorg by turning this into a classic prisoner's dilemma. And so, yeah, I mean, Bitcoin... Hey, thanks, Ta. Yeah, reorg is definitely like a non-starter. I agree. I think it's kind of fun to theorize it, though, because, I mean, really, like, the only hash war... I mean, again, hash war was like a term... It was coined by some BSV people like a month before the BSV split. So hash war is like a new... It's a new term. And we haven't really seen it at large scale. The biggest kind of thing we've seen at this is Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, where they rolled back a smart contract. So this is what he's saying here. Ethereum did a surgical, irregular state change. We never even considered actually rolling back the chain to undo the hack. The collateral damage from that reverting of data, everyone's transaction would have been huge and possibly fatal. And so by this, I think, I don't remember exactly. I'm pretty sure they just basically like change like one transaction and not like roll back a chain, because like I was saying earlier, when you roll back a chain, you want to keep all the transactions that were in the block, and then you'd throw it in the mempool going into this block, but then there'd be new transactions coming, and then you'd have clogged ass. You'd have super clogged mempool and you know, just Bitcoin, BTC things. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, all right, so here's one of his clarifying. So the proposal made by Jeremy is to construct a transaction that would keep all the other transactions, there you go, and just distribute the hacker coins to miners. So about 300 BTC per block produced. It's not a rollback of any transaction, or is it reverting funds back to Binance? So the reach Bitcoin has part of consensus that less than 100 blocks isn't final. I don't think, oh, that's a quote. I don't think anyone except for a few core devs interpret the Coinbase maturity in that way. Yeah. Yeah, so if you didn't know, as a miner, you have to wait 100 blocks to... If you get a block, you have to wait 100 blocks for that mining reward to be spendable. And then Ethereum does not. And so... Not sure if coordinating a hard fork within 16 hours would actually be achievable. Exactly. Let's see. I was going to go to... Yeah, let's go to... This is the good stuff. Yeah, I think this will just be a short little stream tonight. Let me know if you guys want me to talk about anything else in the recent news. I had something else on my mind, but totally forgot what it was. You know. Yeah, this is the good one right here. So, you know, John McAfee, right? If I can help at all, please let me know. Underneath my clown suit is still one of the most experienced cybersecurity experts on the planet. I've been doing it for 51 years. I'm at your service. Oh, nice. 666 retweets. Oh my god. And 666 likes. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's funny. That's a lot of sixes. I don't know what to think about that, John. But anyways, TZ said, would love to pick your brain about it. We'll DM you and arrange a time. DM received. I await your call. And so that's kind of a weird team up that you see right there. But it's funny. I mean, I literally just got a new computer and his ass popped up right away, and I had to uninstall him right away. Man, that's 666 kind of tweaking me out. And here's some memes for you. Hey, cutie, what do you think of a Reorg with BC network prevent? What? You know, just CZ on Tinder. And if you want to see some bullshit from BSV about these guys, here's a good one. It's a really good one. I know, like, oh, did he block me finally? No fucking way. Oh. He doesn't block anybody. All right, so where is it? It's just like the most ridiculous thing I've seen in a while. Sorry guys. Let me find it real quick. Jesus, man, tweets a lot for being a billionaire. Oh, not bookmark. Hope you like the tunes. You know, just chill stuff. Oh yeah, it's right here. Binance is a global criminal organization, says the guy that was on Homeland Security's top 10 most wanted. Hey, Amrita, what's up? Binance is a global criminal organization, and Roger Ver is right in the middle of it, which is like the most like what the fuck does Roger have to do with this? Like, he's such a piece of shit, Calvin. Yeah, I mean that was kind of all I really had planned for tonight. Oh, here's a good one I can talk about. Facebook is coming out with their own coin. Facebook, the people that love to censor other people, basically anybody that doesn't agree with Mark Zuckerberg's politics. But they're also coming out with cryptocurrency, right? So that makes a lot of sense. Totally going to be completely decentralized. And yeah, they're reversing their policy barring cryptocurrency ads, which is kind of a cool thing for me because I do cryptocurrency ads sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it's probably just a kind of thing to promote their own crypto as it comes out. But that's also cool. Yeah, they banned it. Yeah, in January 2018, it was a complete ban on cryptocurrency and blockchain ads. They loosened the ban to allow pre-approved ads a few months later. But yeah, that was basically like right after the bull run, right? And it was like ICO time and whatever. And there's just a bunch of shit, bunch of, like The Verge, Pornhub stuff, and yeah, they just blocked it all. And so yeah, shout out to Peaceful Warrior. Hey, there's Amrita. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call the stream right there. I am planning on coming on DLive. It's dlive.tv for y'all on YouTube. A good amount more, and just basically like shit posting on Twitter. This is gonna be my new segment right here, calling it like it is, where I kind of talk more in depth about stuff, like 30 minutes to 40 minutes. I kind of prepare a little bit, and but yeah, like on DLive, I'll just do more shit posting, play some video games sometimes. I don't know. I know we want to do like a 4-person Sea of Thieves. It's like a pirate game with a bunch of crypto people. Call it the Crypto Pirate Ship or something. But yeah, that'll all go on DLive. dlive.tv/Collin instead. Hey, thanks for 11 pair. And yeah, I'm gonna call it there. Hope y'all have a good night.